What's up, guys? It's been a hot minute since I've done a puzzle video. Not that I've stopped probably going crazy or on the whole collecting. I went through a massive career change this year. I won't beleaguer you with the entire story. Let's just say that it took about 7 months to transition successfully to what I was trying to do. And I took a 4 month detour of learning AI and everything too. But I'm there. I've been there for about a month now, and still learning that. So I haven't been solving as much, but I have been collecting. And I wanted to show you guys something cool today. This is the Takabaro. This is an SD puzzle, kind of a puzzle box. It's definitely an SD. I call it a Gordian knot SD. And there's some history to this one. First off, what you have here is a box made of ash, I believe, or a form of maple. And you have a cage around it in Choctaviga, or orange heart, as they like to call it. You can see the ends here. They justify the means. No, I'm just kidding. And this is a really cool box. Before I get into it, let's address the elephant in the room. This is designed by Jenkins. Richard Jenkins goes by Rick. He was Stickman's protege or apprentice for about 3 years or so. I'm not sure how long it actually went on for, but I guess it ended. And I've heard that it had a lot to do with the way the hexagram puzzle came out, which was a Stickman numbered puzzle. I believe it was an IPP puzzle, so it was one of the larger runs for less money that he does. He seems to alternate between like high end and then like IPP stuff. And people weren't a big fan of it. I had it. I believe I made a video on it. It was kind of like Zelda, like the Triforce. Had some cool moves to it. It did have a like a gap that kind of gave away part of the solution. So I think maybe that was part of the craftsmanship that people were complaining about. But I've also heard since getting this puzzle box, since acquiring it, that this was one of maybe three that was supposed to be made. Three different puzzles. There were 40 of these made. I'm not quite sure how many actually made it out. I guess money was collected, allegedly, for 2 and 3 by a lot of collectors. Rick collected it and never actually made the puzzles. Now, that all aside, I'm going to judge the puzzle as it is as a puzzle. I actually like this puzzle a lot. There's some cool ideas in it. You can tell that he was working on this or coming up with it during the time that he was working with Stickman on the Gordian knot. And I mentioned Gordian knot for a few reasons you'll see later. But mostly, if you look on the history of CDM, you'll see that Rick was actually selling refurbs of Gordian knot. What's Gordian knot? Gordian knot, I believe, is like number 22 of the Stickman catalog, and it is a cube, 3x3x3. Let's see here. Yeah, see my hands. And it had a lot of lattice work and different types of woods. I believe it was made from scraps that he had from other projects. And those pieces would slide around on the outside frame of the box, and some of the pieces would come off. And those pieces would then kind of Voltron together and create a key. And as you got the key parts free and made the key, then you would move more of the sliding pieces around the box, and eventually a keyhole would open. And then you would put the key into the keyhole, open it, and you'd have a box there. None of that is spoilers. It's literally described in the Stickman website. Not that any of us will ever have a Gordian knot anyway. Aside from all that, he was refurbing some of the ones that weren't finished, that didn't have enough parts, maybe not enough scrap wood, maybe didn't make the cut as far as Rob was concerned. And he was refurbing them and putting them up on CDM or PP, one of the two. And he only sold one or two of those. I believe there were supposed to be like upwards of maybe like 5 or more, but only 2, I believe, were ever made. So maybe commitment issues there. I don't know, but we're going to go into this puzzle and throw all that other stuff out the window. I bring up the Gordian knot part because I think people that are familiar with that puzzle, or maybe how I described it, even if you're not, will show in this puzzle. And we'll get into it. And I'll tell you what I really like about this. There's a tool that I thought was quite creative, and a mechanism that I thought was just fun, you know, if not just weird. And I'll show you how to get it apart, how to put it back together, and some of the insights I had in solving it. So we're about to get into this. If you know, you're trying not to be spoiled on the solve, there's only 40 of these set to be made, and I don't know how many actually were. I believe I have a number of 16, so at least 16 were made. Similar to this here, this guy here, there's just not going to be a bunch of them out in the wild. So, you know, probably maybe just watch this to learn more about his work and to get maybe a objective look at his work as well, because all that stuff that I just talked about with him and Rob and his other boxes, this is all before my time. When I bought this, it looked cool, and I had to look up who the guy was. So with that in mind, let's go. This is Takabaro. As you can see here, my hands are huge. This is a decent sized puzzle. Maybe 6 inches long, maybe in the 5 something range. You can see a lot of tons of ornamentation in the sense of the notching. But we'll get into this and what to look for, some of the secrets and, you know, clues it gives, and we'll take this bad boy apart. It's been a minute since I've actually taken it apart, so I've been doing that more with my videos, where I want to kind of show you me really kind of approaching it a bit again instead of just, you know, flying through it. So let's go. Now, I said this was Choctaviga and ash, or possibly maple. For all I know, this could be cheap maple and some kind of offcuts here. It just looks like Choctaviga to me. The consistency of grain, the coloring. There is a little bit of lacewood speckle here that I don't think is going to show. But anyways, as you look at it, you'll notice that you have a lot of symmetry. You have this hole here with something inside of it. And you have a bar here, it looks like. And then this side, this is actually the top, and you know, because you'll have these 2 pieces here. And you can't really, I mean, if you really tried and pinched them hard, you could probably grip them, pull them out. But that's not the intended method there. And then when you get to this side, you'll be thrown off by this little bit of showing that there's something under the wood. And you'll find that this slides, opening up more access to what looks like multiple sticks and bars in there. And it's magnetized to lock in place. You also have this one where it looks like a split pair of bars or sliders or something there. Now, you will notice on this end that there's holes. And if you listen carefully as I turn it, I don't know if it'll pick it up, but listen. Hear that clicking noise? That is like a Schrodinger effect. So when you are using this puzzle and looking at it, you're going to be looking down on it mostly. Well, it just so happens that every time you turn it upwards, silently, a mechanism is actually undoing itself. And when you turn it this way, you hear that click. there's a gravity effect taking place. Now, if you notice it and turn it then against gravity, you'll notice that this stick keeps coming in and out as we turn it. So it goes in, falls out, falls back in. So a little bit of deceptive work there that's useful because it is part of the solve, especially once you know to pull this down, because now you can kind of see that. So some of it's doing the work for you. Other exploration will find that these two bits here are not part of the frame. So if you look on the other end, you'll actually see their ends here. And everything's nice and symmetrical here, but there is a gap right here between these bars that indicates they move. So if you pull on them, pull down, that actually lines them up evenly now. But it also unlocks these guys, which is this down here. And you may have noticed that it actually allowed this kind of like lid to come out. Now, once this has been out, and this actually took me a bit to find and realize this was a step, is there's actually a tool hidden right here in plain sight. So we're going to give it a little push. Sometimes it's easier to pull out from the bottom. And now that that's free, we're going to slide it out. And what we have here is a key. A very well hidden, very cool looking tool, a key. And this is what we're going to use to push all the holes and move things around. So we'll put the lid back on so we can actually see these guys as they get farther and farther out. So first off, this key is half of a voxel here, so you can push one dowel and not the other. And I don't remember the procedure here as much, but I do remember this slider here. There we go. It allows one of these pieces to slide out a little bit further, and it has to work with the sliders down here. So to get these guys out, we're going to use this in flat and vertical positionings to work around other pieces in here. It may take me a moment here to put in the right sequence to actually unlock one of these. I also remember when I set it up last that I set it up to be on the most difficult arrangement. So that's what we do. We're trying to find the positioning of the dowels here, or sliders, I guess, to appropriately free one of these long pieces, because they're going from end to end. Like this one here, I think is about loose. I just have to line up this bar so it's out of the way. Now it's just a matter of getting one of these two in the right position. And I may have to move this piece in to allow the piece I want to move out of the way. And then we got to go from both directions here. And I've done this, set it up in ways where it seems really simple to solve, and ways where it seemed like really difficult to solve. So you can, it is reconfigurable. There's also gravity pieces at work here. Okay, so we've got this part of this. It's this part that's given us a problem now. And I'm not sure if maybe I'm doing the pegs out of order here. because this one right now doesn't want to move at all. There we go. Okay, so to get this one out, let's go ahead and shove out the bar. Okay. See, there's a gap right here that allows it to move further. So that's where this needs to be. Now if we just slide this, there we go. There is one piece out. And as you can see, it has, this is the hook at the end that traps it in, and this is stronger than it looks. And this is the gaps that needed to be cleared, and they're different thicknesses too. Okay, so with one of the pieces out, the other one's easier to figure out. You definitely want to clear everything out of the path. There we go, there's that, and we've got it. Another similar type of setup. Now, you will think that with these guys out of the way now, that this will just slide right out and be done. But remember the two dots at the top? They have now fallen in a bit, so it's still locked in there. Because the one line's removed, which allows these to fall in. So what you got to do now is push them all the way in, and that's another use for the tool. But when you push them all the way in, guess what they do next? They lock the box back up. So we make sure all of our bars are in place. And now we use this, we should be able to slide the body out here. And you can see the cage. This actually comes out. Dual magnet there. Skewed just a little bit so you can line it up properly. And this is sturdy. Like this feels solid and good. This end here doesn't come off, but it has the sliding bars in it. And you do have to put it back together properly, or it can be bricked, they say. But I've never actually used the proper reassembly instructions, as it's pretty common sense to me. Now, through this end of the hole, we're going to push out the pins. And now we can open the box. And this is actually number 6 of 40. I said 16. Hand signed. This here is extended out so that it kind of locks into this here and seals it. A decent amount of space to store something in. And then these are your sliders that we're doing all of the puzzling. If I can get them out. You have one here that's pretty intricate, and you'll see that it's half voxel on the end, and that you'll see here that there's a bit of wood included. That's built into this. That's to kind of set you up so that you don't put it back together wrong. It can only go in this one way, but this piece can be swapped, and this piece here has a short end and a long end to block the bar sliding. And this is how you make it, the puzzle actually easier or more difficult, by the direction that you face it. So we'll go back through the process of putting it back together, and I'll kind of explain, the thought process there as well. But when you're done, it's not even really truly a box. It's funny. It's like a core here that holds something, held together by a cage and a lot of other stuff. Which reminds me a bit of this, but that's another video. So here we go. We're going to go ahead and reassemble the Takabaro box. Alright, so now what we need to do is figure out how we want to put the action back together. So when this is in place, these slide like this to lock, which means that the hooks need to be faced inwards. They also need to be grooved down so that they can catch on these parts. So that automatically dictates placement. This stick has to go here, and this stick has to go here. Now this piece is kind of set in its ways. When it moves all the way out to just this spot, this one can move. Once it's moved to this spot as well, that one can move. So it only has to be in one specific position for it to move. Now with this one though, only one can be moved at a time. So this one allows the first one to be removed the quickest, and then this one would have to be removed second. Now we all know that this loves to kind of go out this way, leading you to this one. So I think the harder way to do the puzzle is to have the fat bar down here, and that's why it took me so long to solve it, because it makes the first one more complex, and you have to do the first one before the second one. All right, and so we know this is the top, and that's really the only thing that was important about doing it, because I'm not sure why there's a bricking worry with this when you have this piece right here. You know that it goes right here. So everything's going to go back in the right order. So let's go ahead. We want to go ahead and put these pieces through this to make it. And I'm going to go ahead and put it back together. It also makes it easier for me to kind of show how it's made. So it actually, when you look at it outside of it, you would think that maybe it goes in this way, right? But it doesn't. This empty cross here is where all these 4 dots go in. So when it's pushed in, almost all of it looks normal. You have this half piece here, which was a clue, but this is blocked by the bar when you're looking at it. Now, when you're taking the piece out, I'm pretty sure that it goes this way. So this is on the right. So now you put your pieces through it, because they have to go in through this first. And it's a nice little assembly procedure, you know. So we're going to go ahead now and put the top back on. And as you can see here with the holes, these are blocking the holes going all the way to the bottom. So that's why when the bars are removed, the pieces fall down and create another, you know, like a lock for you there. Now we know that this is a sliding piece, and we know that the sliding piece hides this. Because if it was this way, it would be hiding this blank piece of wood. So there's no point in even trying to rationalize a different way of assembly. Now as you push it through, it's going to come through all the way here and close there. And that's when you take these, and it's easy to tell. It'll be darker on the end that goes outside the top. Now I will say one of these is more fit into the place than the other. They do have an actual order. So you want it to go where it's flush to the point where you can't pinch it. See, like that. So if we turn them upside down and tap them out now, I can grab that one out and that one, so they got to be swapped. And then that one goes in more flush, and that one's now flushed. So there is an order to it. So those will lock that in, and then the final step would be to lock the bars now. And make sure that your piece here is in place and pulled out, so it's not obvious right away. And then you have your reassembled Takabaro. But what are my thoughts? This thing actually tied me up for a bit. This whole bit probably took me, a good session to notice it was happening. This I found right away, but I was then baffled on how to push any of this through. I was using my fingernail and getting this to come out partially, but not all the way. I just didn't realize as I was turning it that it was going back in. The actual key here, that like 3 sessions maybe before I noticed that. That was the hardest thing for me to find. Once I found it, I had a tool then to start moving and poking things in, and that's when the whole discovery of how it all works and the process and order of things became more clear. Then it really impressed me, and then putting it back together, just this whole nature of it, the look of it, it's very unique. It's definitely SD, probably one of the coolest tools I've pulled out of an SD. I mean, granted, we've all gotten pokers and rods and hell, even keys out of SDs, but just to have one waffled into this, patchwork here of wood, was a great way to hide one. And the fact it looks like a key, I mean, come on. It's got that kitsch appeal. Other than that, this is very solid, very well made. You don't see any weird cuts on anything. You saw how it slid out like butter. The rods dropped into place magically. Everything works the way it's supposed to. And as you saw, for a person that's probably solved this a dozen times, when I set it to the more difficult thing and left it alone for a couple weeks, it took me a minute to figure out again that, oh yeah, there's an order to the sticks. You watched it happen. There's an order to the sticks coming out. Then I had to figure out how to get each one out, and then it was downhill from there. Because I know the rest of it. This would trip up a person a little bit, I'm sure. The key, I would hope to think, would trip up people for a session or two. It really got me. Everything else aside, I would get work from this man again. If it looked like this, it was already made and he was ready to sell, yeah, I have no issues with that. I don't know the history that well other than what I was told and what I relayed to you, which could all be hearsay and bad. I'm not getting into that, drama. I've been it and I ain't in it. So, but as it is, this I believe was 600 retail. Right on the nose, really, probably, in value. This is a decent size. Like, this is a 4x4 K cube. This is Jerry. Oh, I hope I didn't mess up my audio. This is Jerry McFarlane's newest puzzle. So definitely longer. And then this is a UFO. So right there, we're looking at like 5.5 inches, I believe. So yeah, this is a cool puzzle. It's a shame that a lot of people are just going to turn their nose to it and not get to experience it. I guess they can experience it by watching this video. I will say, not watching the video and solving it yourself is a little bit more involved and a bit more of a discovery process. A little bit of logic than just watching a person solve it, because I knew exactly what to do for the most part. We got there, and very cool. I don't know what Takabaro means. I think I did at one point, but it just looks cool. These offshoot pieces here, the gapping that's swapped from 4 to 2, these sticks, the waffling, and all of these cuts. It's a great puzzle. I would give this like a 92. I wanted to say 95. I'm trying not to let like the hate out there affect my opinion on it. But then I'm thinking about like, Junos and things like that I've given really high ratings to. This isn't a B level effort from someone like that. From what I hear, his limitations to build and everything, I think this is a standout first thing for someone to make. So for that, yeah, lots of credit. It's definitely a 90 range, so 92 seems fair and generous. This is unique, so that's the main point to it. It has a nice sequence to it, and it's satisfying to resolve and to try to like recombobulate a little bit, if that's a way to put it. But yeah, this is Takabaro by Rick Jenkins of Stickman fame, and that is his only puzzle box, I guess. The only thing he's put out there, so pretty rare. And if you get a chance to grab one, I got this secondhand. If you get it secondhand, there's no guilt in that. You know, he's been paid by someone else already. You're just refunding them their money, I suppose. So this is it. I hope you guys enjoyed the solve and, you know, a little bit of the history there. And maybe we'll see more from him in the future. If not, then this will stand alone as, I believe, a great one-hit wonder, we'll call it. You guys have a good one. It's been the holidays. I hope they stay good for you and everybody's staying warm. I'm in Vegas, so, you know, I've gone from shorts to sweatpants, and that's about it. We'll see you in the next one. I'm going to be showing off. I have them all out here because I'm going to be doing videos on these guys next. Peace.